Information is power.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Information Man Show. I hope everybody out there is doing well. I've got a great show for you all today. Let me get into it right now. Now, we already know by now who's the president, the 46th president being Joe. I call him Joe, Jim Crow Biden. I call him Jim Crow Biden. That's the truth. It's nothing to laugh about it because it's the truth. Because, we know his history. He was carousing around with people like Strong Thurman, these kind of individuals when he passed the crime bill. We all know about the crime bill. He's now the president, so now he's a nicer, better president. And what did he do, ladies and gentlemen? He already gave executive orders. And what I want to do, I'm gonna pull up some of these executive orders on my computer here. I want to say peace to folks that will come in. I know it's a Sunday. Most people are relaxing, enjoying their time with their family. But we saw the executive orders that he came out with. And what was clear to me is that where is the black agenda? Him and Kamala Harris have made it very clear that they are definitely going to make the LGBTQ community, no disrespect to them, but he said he's going to make them a priority. And we all know that. He also mentioned about DACA or immigration, that he is going to make them a priority first day. And that's what they did with his executive orders. And I did a video not too long ago in which I told you all that, I used data from peer research that black people are going to be a permanent minority by at least 2065. Some of us won't be here. Some of us may be here because of the growing immigrant population, which we think that it's going to be Latinos. Actually, Asians will surpass them by a little bit, and they'll be right under them with white people and black people will be a permanent minority in this country, and that's something that we need to be concerned about, because most people of different cultures, they're going to help each other. They're going to cape for each other. They're going to be on code for each other. And I'm not hating on that. That's what people should do. But where do black people stand when we're voting for Joe Biden at 86% to 87% black men? Where do we stand when we have black women who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris by the tune of 93%? Now, a lot of black men got raked over the coals by our own community, black men and black women who criticized black men who were going to vote for Trump. Now, I'm no fan of Trump. I'm no fan of the Democrats. I'm no fan of the Republicans. They both screw you. One with Vaseline, that's the Democrats. One without Vaseline, that's the Republicans. I've got serious problems with both of these political parties. We saw the inauguration this past week. They had beautiful poetry being read by a beautiful young lady. They had Michelle Obama, who came out there rocking it with her red outfit and just looking smooth, ebony smooth off the magazine. But that's the thing, black folks. We've got to stop being caught up in what I call emotional symbolism, which causes us to get caught up in the symbolism. But where's the beef, as they used to say back in the day? Where are the tangibles? Where is the black agenda? We did not see Joe Biden put an executive order that specifically dealt with black people. Now, I was telling Brother Jeff, I'm bringing him on in just a minute, that when you go to the Biden's website for Lift All Voices plan, I heard Tone Talks talking about this, and you've got the black agenda, and then you have the Latino. If you put them right aside of each other and you read it, they didn't change. All it is a copy of the same damn statements. So they didn't really create a black agenda for us. They're giving other groups the same lip service and ideology and BS that they're trying to give black people. It's all, once again, BS. So he did not make an executive order that's tailored. What he did in his plan is to make it this people of color plan. But where is the specifics for our black people? That's where we got to hold him to the fire. And I wonder if our so-called black politicians have the courage to do that. Now, with that said, let me bring on my brother. Dear brother, me and him, we're a member of the same fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. He's a dear brother, very experienced brother. I'm going to bring him on, let him introduce himself. He has a YouTube channel, and as well, the brother has experience in the media himself. And you can catch this brother on Dr. Boyce's channel every weekend, getting into these type of issues. And let me give Brother Jeffrey a clap as I bring him in, because to me, that's definitely important. Let me do that right now. All right, brother, what's going on? Good to have you here, brother. Let me unmute you. There we go. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Feeling good, blessed and highly favored. Right now, it's tough right now with the COVID. We talked about that before we went on live. But I'm glad to have you here, brother. I've been checking you out on Dr. Boyce's his channel, his network, what he's got going on over there. You've been a fixture on the show over there. You guys talk about, I think, topics that are relevant to what black folks are dealing with right now. Of course, you have a YouTube channel, and then we also found out that we're members of the same brotherhood, Alpha Phi Alpha. Been around since 1906, 100 years now.
Yes, sir.
What are we, 113 years now?
Yes, sir.
Somewhere in there.
Yes,
so
sir.
the brotherhood has been lasting for a long time. Now, let everybody know about you, a little bit about your background, some of the things you've been involved in. I know before we went on, you said that you definitely love sports. Your channel does center around sports, but you get into political issues as well. Go right ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Well, like you said, I am a sports journalist by nature. That is my profession. That is what I'm into. But I'm always black first. Before I'm a sports journalist, before I'm an alpha, before I'm all of these things, I'm B1 at all times. And so obviously I cover mostly on my channel sports. But when there's significant enough news that affects our community, that affects my people, that I feel like I have a voice and a right to speak on because I am black and I care about our people before anything else, before Democrats or Republicans or whatever. I
Yes.
go ahead and talk about it. So those are the kind of things, like you said, I am a sports reporter in Bowling Green, Kentucky. That is like what I do. But I am a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, crossed back in spring of 16. But like you said, I'm a YouTuber and talk a lot about what's going on, like what's happening in the NFL today, what's happening in the NBA and all that stuff. But like you said, I really love talking to smart, intelligent Black people about our issues and how we can fix them and what are the best solutions instead of just going in the same constant cycle. I feel like in the last recent years, a lot of people like yourself, Information Man, like Dr. Boyce, like Tariq Nasheed, like Vicky Dillard, a lot of these smart, intelligent Black people are getting on their platforms with thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people and reaching them every week, every day, however often you go. And we're finally waking up and realizing the things that we've been doing since the 60s haven't progressed us like they should, right? So those things are clearly aren't working. And now we have people like yourself and the people that I mentioned that are telling people to wake up, and those people are waking up. And we're seeing how powerful our voice, our actions, our votes are actually to make change within our community in this country.
Okay. Let me go right ahead. Look, this is what I'm going to do, brother. I love everything that you just said. Let me just shout a few people out in the chat room, or we got Darius L. Oh, that's my BAIO brother. Darius is in the house. We got brother right here, B4 and After. The Mix is in the house. We got Back to the Basics in the house. We've got CC Uncut, Peggy Roster. Thank you for being here. The Black Cyber Network. Good to see you here, Black Cyber Network. Enemy Nation. What's up, Enemy Nation? Good to see you. Tone Malone is in the house. We got Xander. I'm bad with names, folks, but I'm going to do the bad. We got Kujin87. Try it, buy it, make it, and sell it in the house. No Lodge, the most is in the house. RY is in the house. We got Cooking with Chef and More. I love Chef and More. Make sure y'all check her channel out. Matter of fact, everybody, get your, I always say this, everybody, get your pencil, paper, whatever you got to do, write people's names down, go back to go to the search engine, and then subscribe to people's channel, because we got content creators in the house, and we got people here that are great supporters of what we do on YouTube. Then we got Ayanda's baby that's in the house. She's a big supporter of mine as well. Let me see, Joe Winfield. My main man is in the house. God Allah is in the house. Has peace information, man. And man, let's continue on here. So everybody, thank you. Periodically, I'll be shouting people out. Thank you for being here. Now, Brother Jeffrey, you said you deal in sports. You went to Western Kentucky. You've done internships. I've seen it on your Instagram. You're doing professional broadcasting, things of that nature. But then at the same time, as a young brother yourself, you're looking at what's happening around you in the society. Give me, from your perspective, what the hell is going on? You've seen everything that we've seen. Donald Trump, how he told people to go up to the Capitol building. We know if black folks would have did that, our butts would have been fried. Yeah. We're seeing little charges being put on these people. We've got this COVID thing going on. Let me know from your perspective, how do you assess what's happening, and where the hell do black people fit into this whole thing?
Okay, so there's a lot you said, and let's unpack.
I know, I said a lot.
So let's unpack some of it. Let's start with what took place at the Capitol. Right.
Okay.
So my reaction on what took place at the Capitol was, man, this looks a little weird, man. This looks kind of, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy person. I don't dive into conspiracy theories. But think about this. The Capitol you would clearly say the Capitol was one of the top 5 most protected places in the world, not just in the country, but in the world. So I'd say the White House is probably number 1, and then the Capitol I would definitely say is number 2, and it's the top 5 most protected place in the world. And so how a group of 30,000 people were able to march from whatever Donald Trump's rally was at, and to actually not only get to the doorsteps, but to invade the Capitol when the Pentagon and inside of Washington, D.C. is down the street, makes absolutely no sense to me. We had one dude, this Mr. Eugene Goodman, I think was his name, or Eugene something was his name. and he's the only man that had any kind of power to try to stop this mob. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So that is what it is. But as far as that goes, to me, that was more of like a white people reality TV, right? Like it was a white people version of Bad Girls Club or something, because like that had nothing to do with black folks. Like, let's be honest with me, I was watching it, and you know, some of my family members and some of the people I was talking to were like, "Oh, this is such a sad day in America, and such a sad day," and I was just kind of like, you know, it don't really got nothing to do with me. You know, no brothers, no sisters were really out there in masses, in large numbers, so I really wasn't too crazy about that. So. Why, and like you said, obviously we know if there was a group of 30,000 black folks, ain't no way in hell that would have went down on the Capitol like that. So we know that. We don't have to point out the obvious. As far as Donald Trump goes, just to sum up his presidency, Donald Trump, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, obviously, and most people aren't. But
tell the truth.
What he was able to do, watch what he was able to do to essentially become from being a celebrity of his caliber, and to create this movement in this country, and to, even though he lost it, and to win the presidency, and even though he lost this last election, the man still got over 75 million votes. 75 million votes. Like, think about that. But besides Biden winning this year, 75 million votes would have been the most ever by any presidency in the history of the United States. Like, so that lets you know this man's following and what he was able to do over the last 4 years, whether you love it or hate it, was incredible. Like, it was literally insane to think that he was able to do what he was able to do. And so that lets you know what has been taking place, or what's taking place in this country during the duration of its time, right?
Right.
And so I say all of that to say this. Black folks, like I said, to start this off, I'm B1 first. I'm black first. Before I'm Democrat or Republican, I'm black. Before I'm an alpha or college educated or whatever, I'm black. Black all day, every day. So what I would say about black folks, we can't fall for the same okie doke. Obviously, we know majority of black people vote Democrat, right? Right. And so since the 60s, let's just use the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Since the 60s, what really has shifted in our paradigm? It hasn't been wealth. Yes, we've got more elected officials. Yes, we've had a black president. But what we still have the issues that we were having in the 60s. Maybe we can go into a restaurant and not get beat up for sitting at the counter or ride at the front of the bus or whatever, right? Like, we aren't having those issues, but our wealth gap hasn't shrank, it's grown. Our poverty rate hasn't shrank, it's grown. Right. Like the things that matter have gotten worse. And by 2050, you can check me, by 2050, the black wealth will be non-existent. It will be down to zero. And so why is it that we voted Democrat since the 60s and these things have happened? That lets you know they're not working in our favor either. That lets you know that whatever they're selling us, these wolf cookies that I like to call it, that they're selling us, isn't actually working. And if you don't believe me, why is it that we're having the same problems that we've had since the 1960s? Right.
Let me ask you this question too. And let me acknowledge my man. He's been a big supporter of mine, Earl Owens, who has given me a $2 super chat. I want to thank you, brother, for doing that. So as a result of that, what I need to do very quickly is give you the super chat respect that you deserve. And what I'm going to do is go right ahead, get the music wrapped up, and here we go.
Tell them run it on. I wake up.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat.
I wake up, flex, I'm down that check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it on. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it on. I wake up, flex, I'm down that check.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, brother Earl Owens, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate everybody that's coming in. Let me say peace to Old Head. I saw Old Head who came into the chat room. Let me see if I can pick Old Head out. Thank you for being here, brother. He says Infoman. And this sister, hey, thank you for coming on over. Now check her channel out. She does mukbangs and she eats all kind of different types of foods. And mukbangs are very popular on YouTube. Thank you for coming on over to the channel today. So you see the description of her down in my corner side. Check her out. Does a great mukbang channel. So let's get back here on topic, my brother. What I need to know from you, well, let me just say this. There's a brother right now, and let me say shout out to our frat brother who's now going to be the head of the military. I'll say shout out to him. And I also have to bring up the fact that there is a brother that's running for mayor of New York. Now, it's fine and dandy that we have black people that are being put in key positions. But this is how I feel about it, brother. If they don't have a black agenda in mind when they're put in these key positions, it doesn't mean a hill of beans. And I'm getting to the point where I'm wondering, do black people need a political party or do we need a black agenda? And what do I mean by that? If you have a black agenda and we're all on the same page, it doesn't matter if Republicans come to us, Democrats come to us, or independents. If they're not feeding our agenda as they do everyone else, then they get no vote from us. Now, I mentioned that there's a brother running for mayor in New York because in the black community, we've had many black mayors. We've had black mayors in Chicago. Willie Brown, where I lived in San Francisco, became mayor. And you know, he's frat too, was a member of my chapter in San Francisco, or is. We've had many black mayors. And then we have Marion Barry, who was, to me, one of the best that ever lived. But the problem is, you saw when Marion Barry was trying to truly help the people because he truly came from the people, they neutralized him. Say what you will about his demons and the problems he had. But the question is, we've had all these black political elected officials. And you have other groups who don't put all their money and egg and baskets into political figures. They put their money into investing in themselves and their community. Has it been a failure for black people in the modern time in terms of the black politicians? How relevant are they to us today?
So as far as the black politicians, the people don't control the politicians. The money does. Right? Like, think about, like we talking about our frat brothers, Raphael Warnock. He just got elected the senator of Georgia. Do you know how much money was donated or given to Raphael Warnock to win that election in Georgia? Do you have any clue?
I'm going to be honest with you. Please educate us.
It is over $100 million for that Senate race raised by Raphael Warnock to win that election. Think about that. Over $100 million. Now, I don't know about you, Mr. Info Man. I don't have $100 million to give Raphael Warnock to win a Senate seat down in Georgia. So, therefore, whoever funded Raphael Warnock now owns Raphael Warnock. And I can tell you, there wasn't a whole lot of black folks that gave him over 100. I think it was closer to $120 million that was actually given to Raphael Warnock to win that election. So, therefore, once you are given that money and you win your election, now you got to cash them checks that you were given. And those means those corporations.
Wow.
That means those corporations, those big PACs, those super PACs, all of that stuff. All of those people with those big businesses want to get their return on investments, called an ROI. Any people that's into stocks and bonds and things all like that know what a return on investment is. So if I invest hundreds of millions of dollars into you or to your campaign, then I need it back. And I don't care what community you have to slack or what type of people you have to lie to or whatever you have to do. I need my return on investment. So as far as the black agenda and people's black agenda, see that's where I think black folks are heading in this direction of finally realizing the type of power that they have in their voice and in their vote. We saw it with this last election cycle. It was kind of late. We didn't see it until late, but we definitely saw it. We saw people like Ice Cube come out with a contract of Black America, and that scared, believe it or not, that type of stuff scared the Democrats more than it scared the Republicans, right? Because the Democrats are already counting our votes before we cast them. right? Like they're already counting your vote before you cast it. So therefore, if you come out and go against anything on their agenda,
yes,
then they're going to shun you in the media. Think about the backlash that Ice Cube got. Think about what he got called. Think about all the names and stuff that he got called, because the Republicans are going to align themselves with black folks. The Republicans are more willing to listen to you and to your black agenda because they're not expecting your vote anyway. They're trying to up their number, right? Like trying to up their number in the black
yes.
community. So they're willing to tell you whatever you want to hear. The Democrats are counting your vote before you cast it. And if you do anything that goes against that, they're going to bash you in the media like crazy. They're going to cancel your interviews. They're going to say you're a Trump supporter. They're going to say you're MAGA. They're going to say you're selling out your people. And they're,
Right.
and they're not going to say it, right? Like, so Cuomo on CNN might not say it, but Don Lemon will say it. Angela Rye will say it. Van
Yes.
Jones. They'll get the black people to come out and call you a sellout, to call you an Uncle Tom, to call you a coon, or whatever words they want to use, because they know that will connect more with your people. But while Joe Biden is getting interviewed by people like Kamala Harris, and getting interviewed by people like Cardi B, and Kamala Harris is getting interviewed by folks like Lizzo and stuff, like that's cool. Like all of that is cool, right? But Ice Cube coming out and saying, "Oh, we need a plan, a black only agenda, not a person of color agenda, or not a one lifting boat or rising tide lift all boats agenda. No, we need an agenda for black folks. Then you're a criminal. Then you're a villain."
Right. Let me say this. What bothered me about the Ice Cube, and I did two videos on Ice Cube, is that he really took a lot of criticism. I got to be honest, by a lot of black women, because there were a lot of that. Well, let me say some black women he took criticism from, because some of those black women were very happy with the symbolic symbolism of having a black woman be nominated as president, right? And then I know that there's people that are questioning whether Kamala is black enough and so on and so forth. What I did notice in the inauguration this past week is, you notice, and I don't want to get too far off subject, but you notice there's as much as they kept saying either she was a black woman, she was Asian, or they would say a woman of color. They didn't really know what they wanted to call her. They were just interchangeable with it, right? And then what I've been noticing, my brother, not to get too far off the subject here, is that there's very little mention of her father and black side of the family. It's almost as if he's not alive. Yes, he is alive. If I'm not mistaken, he's a professor at Stanford University, if I'm not mistaken, and he's very much alive. There's very little talk about her black side, although they want to define her as black, and I get that. But I find that very interesting in the whole equation of all this weird politics, as I call it, that's been going on. Okay? And you're right.
It's funny that you say that. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go right ahead.
Because just really quick, because you didn't see many black people or folks that look like me and you up there on stage with her. I didn't watch the inauguration, I'm gonna just be honest, but I saw clips and pieces on Twitter and the pictures and everything, and there weren't many people that look like me and you. I mean, I'm gonna just be real. It was a bunch of like fairer skinned folks, like, so I can't really tell if they're black or if they're the Asian descent or whatever Kamala's got going on. But it wasn't many dark skinned brothers. It wasn't many, like, you would think if a black person is going in the, think about Obama. Let's just use Obama for example. When he got elected, he was black. And he went into as the president, or whatever. You saw black folks, like not to say there's fake black folks and real black folks, but there's melanated people on stage in and around when they showed his family. That's all I have to say. So that is interesting that you bring that up, because I don't know much of anything at all about Kamala's father, and you wouldn't know much of anything of all. I mean, you'd almost think she never had a damn dad, the way the things are portrayed on screen and through the media.
Well, it's on purpose, because the image of the black male is under assault, and it's been under assault before me and you were born, and it's been continuing. So what you do is they focused on her Indian side of her family, and they minimized the black side. Although you did see some black family members walking with her when they took that walk to the Capitol, I believe, where you had I think she has a sister that's married to a brother. So you saw the children out there, which, looked nice, but we know that was a lot about optics. All right. A lot about optics as well. But I do not begrudge her family. That's her family. But what I'm saying is how they use that imagery to plant a emotional seed into black people because they know that we engage in emotionalism, and they know that our women get really giddy about emotionalism because we're thinking, okay, if it's a black woman in there, somehow that means that black people are going to get something out of this administration. And I'm here to telling you that the verdict is out. Okay, the verdict is still to be seen because they made it very clear what they were going to do for other groups of people and said, damn black people, in my opinion. And I remember when Biden was asked directly, and I did a video on that here in some of my videos, when he was running for the Democratic nomination, they said, a lady said to him in the audience as a moderator, what about reparations? What is your plan for reparations? And you know what he did? He didn't answer the question. He went straight to immigrants and said, you better get over it. Immigrants are the future and blah, 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 blah. But that wasn't the question, fool. Then he got caught in that Zoom meeting that you know about. I know y'all talked about that on Boyce's channel, where he talked to black folks with a strong pimp hand. And he said the Latino population is the growing population and they're bigger than y'all best to get with them. I mean, talking to us like we on a plantation with our shoes off and picking the gum out of the gook out of our toes. So it's just crazy, brother. But before you say anything, let me say peace and love to Marcus Love. He super chatted me. He says, I know Biden was shady with Ice Cube contract with Black America. Yes, but let's talk about Cedric. What's the brother? Cedric. He's the brother that was in charge of the Black Caucus. And now he's been put in a position to be like a liaison to Joe Biden. Cedric, God.
I can't think of his name either. I know you're talking about that.
Well, him and Ice Cube were on Twitter going in a back and forth. And Ice Cube said that the Democrats said that if they got elected, they're going to look over his plan a little bit, talk to him.
Yeah.
And then Cedric, hey, can somebody help me in the chat room? What's the name of that congressman who also was the president at one point in time of the Congressional Black Caucus? And he got into a back and forth on Twitter with Ice Cube, and Ice Cube said to him, why don't you just show the original tweets? He said, show the video, because the video will show that you did say that. And this is another black politician who's supposed to be representing us. So with that said, let me go right ahead and give my man Marcus Love a little love with the super chat music.
Tell them run it up. I wake up.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
I
wake
Thank
up,
you
flex,
for the
thumb
super
down
chat.
that check. No drip, this tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I
Thank you for the
tell them
super
run
chat.
it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip,
Thank you
this
for the super
tell them
chat.
run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I tell them run it up.
Let me give a clap to everybody in the chat room that's come through. I see we got Hood, Conservative in the chat room. Peace to you.
Fans don't need no friends, I got my homies.
Thank you for being here. Everybody that's in the chat room, I will try to acknowledge everybody as possible. I'll put your descriptions of what you're saying in the chat room on the... Okay, let me see. The Hood Conservative said Cedric, the entertainer. He's being funny. Okay. And we got, let me see. Oh, Cedric Richards. Richmond. Are you familiar with that, brother? Cedric Richmond.
No, I'm not. I know of that exchange that you're talking about, but I'm not too familiar.
Okay. Well, just to let you know what type of Negroes we got here, he is in charge of he was the president of the Congressional Black Caucus, and now he's working as a liaison to old Joe Biden. And we got another one up here. We've got B4, and after the mix, $5 super chat. He say they're trying to minimize all the black excellence. And let me give him a little
Thought I
love
could
too.
trust you, I find out you tried to zone
Gotta
me.
give him some love.
I'm number one up on that court, I'm Nick McGrady. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in my hours, send the invoice, and they pay me. I need 6 rings like MJ and Tom Brady.
Thank you.
I wake up, flex, thumb down, and check. No
All right. Okay, let's get back to the show, get back on track. Thank you for the super chat, everybody out there. Let me know in the chat room, ladies and gentlemen, you know that I am a paranoid individual when it comes to sound. Those of you listening in the chat room, put a 1 in the chat room if my sound coming out of my mic is sounding nice, not distorted and weird. So I know that everything's okay, so I don't have to adjust it something. Now, let me get back to Brother Jeff here. Let me ask you this question. What's up with the phenomena, brother? Or it's not a phenomena, but what's up with this whole people of color thing? You know, we went from being called what? Black folks went from being called niggas, nigras. Let's see, pick a niggas, pickaninnies. Let's see, we went from being called Afro, like we got an Afro-American. Then I know Jesse Jackson, who's the internal Spinksman, by the way, brother. I don't know if you know that history, but that's a whole nother story. He used to be online, but he dropped line, but that's a whole nother story. And then he became Omega. That's a whole nother story, but I got to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
But anyway, Jesse Jackson came up with the phrase they claim, or they said African American. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, let me go back. Then there was a time when they did call black people colored. But a lot of times when they said that, it was demeaning. Then something came out of the Black Power movement where black folks start putting up the fists and saying Black Power.
Yeah.
And we coined the phrase, we're black. But now it looks like we're taking a 360 turn all over again in history. And now the new thing that all these politicians are saying, white and black, and I personally get sick of hearing black politicians on TV saying people of color.
POC.
And when you do that, you're including other people who ain't going through what we going through. And some of these people that you including, they hate us just as much.
Tell the truth.
Now, I said a mouthful. You take it over from there, brother.
So like you said, the purpose of lumping everybody into this POC, a person of color, is because it dilutes you. It dilutes me. It dilutes our voice. It takes away from what the end goal should be, right? So like if we come to the table like we want reparations, right? Well, they lump all of us in as person of color because they'll say, well, if how can we give all the people of color reparations? This group of people of color or POCs don't want that. Like it's like, yeah, because that group ain't us. We black folks, we want our reparations. We are the just due. We are the ADOSs, and that's the African descendants of slaves. Because there's even Africans, like real Africans that immigrate over here in their 20s or 30s or whatever, that don't really care about black folks, black Americans that much. So we're talking about when we say black folks, I mean the African descendants of slaves. I can trace my family history back to working on a plantation, because I'm from the state of Kentucky, from working on a plantation in the South. I'm pretty sure being out in California, the Great Migration, all those different things that took place, I'm sure most of your folks came from South or came from African descendants of slaves. That is what I'm saying when I talk about black folks. That is why we say B1, because we're black first. No offense to the Mexicans, and no offense to the Asian Americans that had babies with black folks or the white folks that had babies with black folks. I'm talking about the black folks, the descendants of slaves. So that's what it dilutes your voice, it dilutes your vote, it dilutes everything. And that's why that you mentioned it earlier, that executive order. So let's talk about that. Let's unpack some of that stuff you had said earlier about Joe Biden. Let's talk about the Zoom meeting. So on the Zoom meeting, he was saying that he wants to, you had the black folks talk about, hey, you know what I'm saying? Well, what are we going to do with black folks? We guaranteed all of this stuff. You put out a Lift Every Voice and all of this stuff, and you were going all around all the circuits, the breakfast clubs, and anywhere that you could get in front of a camera to talk to black people, you were doing it. So what are we doing for our people? And what was the thing he said? We're going to take care of coronavirus first.
Yes.
And we're gonna take our coronavirus first, and then we go, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll get to y'all when we get to y'all. Because I'm in now. You know what I'm saying? Like, COVID is first. So first it was COVID. Then his first day in office, his real first day, because all of that was when he was the president-elect. But his first day in office as the president, his executive order was what? Making 11 million immigrants legal citizens. So what does that do? Why is that significant? Because if you make 11 million immigrants citizens, that raises the immigrant or the Mexican or the persons of color percentage in America. And what does that do to black people and their vote? It makes it minimize it. It drops it down. It makes so next election cycle, if this continues, you are, and not to say that it was right that Trump had the Muslim ban or whatever, but Muslims that are coming from different countries are what? People of color, right? Like, so once you minimize, once you continue to let you open the borders up from the Muslim ban, you make 11 million illegal immigrants. Legal.
Yes.
What does that do to your black vote? We saw the uproar. We saw the uproar this last election cycle from people like Ice Cube, from people like yourself, from people like Dr. Boyce, and from people like Dr. Claude Anderson. We saw Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson, Black Labor, White Wealth was written in the 90s, right? Like, it was written in the 90s, and he talked about this kind of stuff. And so we saw him on the Breakfast Club twice in the last year. We saw people make these trips and get on some of these major platforms. Kanye West talked about Dr. Claude. Ice Cube talked about Dr. Claude. And so we see the emergence of powernomics, right? And people waking up. So what does that do to the Democrat? Like I said, who does that affect the most? It affects the Democratic Party because they're counting your vote before they actually get it. So to try to slow that down, what do? You make the people of color range wider, therefore making the black range and the black vote and the black voice, that percentage smaller. Slow it down, because with shows like yours growing your platform and your listeners really tuning in, and like Dr. Boyce's listeners really tuning in, and Dr. Claude Anderson getting a voice and getting put on major platforms like the Breakfast Club and stuff like that, people are waking up, and that is scaring who? The Democratic Party. That is scaring them, because, like I said, they're cashing your vote before it's placed. And if they can't collect on your vote, they can't win elections. And so that's why it's so critical to really dive into what's taking place, because once they're in office, it's too late. It's too late. You get these executive orders and there's nothing you can say or do. You've already got Biden in office. You already got Warnock and Ossoff in the Senate. So, and you already got the House of Representatives, all Democrats. So they can do and pass whatever they want for at least the next 2 years unopposed, right? So that's already taken place. That's why it's so critical to take advantage of this stuff now. And the Democrats see that taking place, so they're nervous. So over the next 4 years, we'll continue to see illegal immigrants get legalized. We'll continue to see borders and things like that, because they want to dilute your vote, dilute your voice, because the non-mainstream media, the black media, the real media, the ones that we should be listening to, like yourself and others, is growing, and it's only growing. Black people's minds are only getting more and more exposed to what they really should be exposed to the real things that have kept us in. That kept us down. A lot of people think social integration, right? Like that was the thing in the civil rights movement. Social integration. We want to be able to sit with, little white people and black people hold hands, and they always play the "I Have a Dream" speech and all. Like Dr. King, that was the only thing he ever said. No, Dr. King, before he was killed, because he did that, social integration and all of that stuff was his thing in 1963. But by the time he died in 1968, he was on a whole other movement. These are the things they don't show you on television. Dr. King was like, while these other groups get reparations, whether it's Indians or Mexicans or Asians or Jewish people, all of these people have gotten their check. Well, we come in and get ours. We come in to get our check, and next thing you know, Dr. King is dead, right? So now we're getting the message that social integration was where we messed up. We need economics. We need our check. We need reparations. We need what you owe us. Because think about this. Slavery between slavery and Jim Crow took on for over 400 years. And so people let you free and said, okay, all right, you're not slaves anymore, but go ahead and just get out the way. Well, I have no formal education. I have no money. I have no land. I have no cattle. I have no nothing. So what am I supposed to do? Well, you go essentially right back into slavery, because you go working for the man who just set you free. For instead of getting paid nothing, you get paid half of nothing. right? So it's like what is going on? And people are starting to finally realize that what we messed up 60 years ago was working too hard to be friends with white people, to have white people integrate us in all of these different things. And now we're starting to realize, it's not in social integration. It's not what we need. We need economics in our community. We need to make sure all of this stuff happens. Now, obviously, when you're fighting against that, and shows like yourself and others, they're going to push back. Your oppressor is not going to just let you uprise and overtake them, right? So they're going to push back. And how do you do that? You use people that look like me and you to come tell you economics is not what you need. You need to have symbolism, and you need to have social integration, and you need to be able to be the first black so-and-so. It's like, no, that's not what we need. We need economics within our community. And so I know I rambled and went on a long way, but I'm passionate about this stuff, and this stuff really means a lot to me.
Let me say peace to some chick named Star. Thank you for being here, sister, and supporting the program as always. But I got to get over to my main sister, the real Dana. Have you heard of the real Dana, brother?
I have not. Yeah,
she's the real deal. She does a lot of interviews on with brother Joe Brown. You know, Joe Brown is a member of the organization as well. She's sort of you heard of Star Report?
I actually have heard of that.
Yeah, she's known by Star Report. She's called into his show. He knows her firsthand. I definitely have a lot of respect for the sister. You see her on there. She super chatted me. We did a collaboration together, and I got to get her back over here to do more collaborations with her. She's very well-spoken sister. She'll challenge you. I've been on pounds with her, boy. We be duking and the sister be like, "You ain't got it right," right? She'll tell it. She'll rip you out, boy. But I love her because she tells it like it is. She tells the truth. And what I'm gonna do for her right now, because she just super chatted me, is I'm gonna give her the super chat music and video.
Tell them run it off. I wake up.
Thank you for the super chat.
I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it off. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this wet.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
All right. So once again, let me thank the sister herself, the real Dana. Check her channel out. She does great. I think she gets in. You can put it in the chat room if you like, Dana. You can put your link of your channel in the chat room. I am going to put Brother Jeffrey's his link in the channel is in the chat room. I'm sorry, but his link is in the description of this video, so you can scroll down and you can click into it and give the brother some love on his channel. Let everybody know when you can the days that you go on with Joe Brown over there, because I know that you get it in with really good discussions. Let me say this here to you, brother. I like what you said, man. I really do. But look, we got a problem in America. Let me tell you what it is. I lived in Oakland for about 10 years. Oakland, California, the Bay Area, the whole 9 yard. The black population in Oakland, California has dwindled down by 25% decrease because of, you heard it, gentrification.
Tell the truth.
Gentrification, yes.
Black people are being gentrified out of communities that were once seen as undesirable by other groups, now become desirable because they put in the fancy smancy stuff. And then when they put the fancy smancy stuff in, they say it's time to get rid of Negroes. Back in the day, we used to call it Negro removal. Okay? It's happening all across the country. Yes. I was reading an article here in California that's talking about how black people in California are moving further and further away from cities because it's getting too expensive, as you have for example, white people moving back into the cities because they don't want to deal with driving their car for miles just to get to work. They want the convenience of coming in. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. I've got family back there. And when I've gone back there some years ago, and I know it's changed some more, a lot of black folks were moving out to the county, or what they call it out here in California. We would call it our suburbs. And so we're seeing this. I don't know where you live at, if you're seeing a impact as well, but are we looking at us, black people? What's going to become of us? We're being moved further and further out. We know when America catches the damn cold, we get the flu. They just had a report that came out just this week by Kaiser saying that black people are still being underserved as it relates to this COVID vaccine. Now, I'm not pushing vaccines. It's up to people to do what they want to do. I do have my personal opinions about it. People know on my channel. But it seems like black people are always the last to get any type of benefit in this country. Because, hell, when it comes to welfare, even white folks are more on welfare than we are. What are your thoughts?
Well,
what's happening to us?
So yeah, all of that is by design. Like you said, they, you know, by they, I mean, you know what happened. They put all the drugs and all the stuff into your community, devalue your community. The big corporations, the big whoever comes up, buy up your community, fixes it up for pennies buy it for pennies on the dollar. Fixes it up and then moves your people out because it's too expensive to live there. That's exactly what's happening now at Silicon Valley. Out in that, I mean, obviously you know that way better than me living there, and that's what has happened throughout the history of time. Essentially with like whether it was redlining or whatever, it's happened throughout the history. We're just seeing it differently in 2021. So
okay,
to go along with that, what happens with the black community depends on what we do as a people. And what I mean by that is if we continue, because like I said, the oppressor is never going to just let you come and take over, right? Like if we're at war, right? Like if we are at war with white supremacy, if we are at war with whatever, then obviously white supremacy wants to continue to reign supreme. So what is it going to do? It's going to push back, whether that's gentrifying your neighborhoods or whether that's, you know, putting these black faces with white agendas in your face to try to get you to do whatever they say. That's what's going to continue to happen. What we must do as a people is get on code. And what I mean by getting on code is that we cannot fall for the same okie doke, right? Like, it's like, oh, look over here, you know, look over here while I punch you in the face with my, you know, look at my right hand throwing up the do sign.
Right, right.
Like, we've been falling for the same okie doke for at least, like I said, since the civil rights movement.
Yes.
And a lot of our black leaders their minds had woken up, or that was way ahead of their time in the 60s, whether that was a Malcolm X, whether that was a Fred Hampton, what was that, Martin Luther King by 1968, they were killed. They were killed, and they weren't just killed; they were killed by the government. You don't believe me? Look at the facts. J. Edgar Hoover, who was the lead of the FBI, who buildings in this country are still named after. The main FBI building, I think, either in D.C. or New York, one of them is named after J. Edgar Hoover. Said he wanted to stop the rise of a black messiah. Right. He said he wanted to stop the rise of this isn't something I'm making up, people. These are what we call facts. These are what we call things you can look up. Right, like the Judas and the Black Messiah is a movie that's coming out next month. Is going to put it in some sort of context. I say do your own independent research because it is Hollywood at the end of the day. So, but staying on point, what we must do is continue to do what we're doing now. It's a slow and steady race. It is a slow and steady race. And as we already see with the Joe Biden administration at the very beginning, he's been in office less than a week, and we've already seen the executive orders and the different things that they're trying to do to diminish your voice, to diminish your vote. And it's going to continue to happen for the next 4 years. It's not going to stop. It's only going to speed up. It's not going to slow down. So what we must do is to continue to get on code, to ignore those black faces with white agendas, and to continue, people like yourself, people and other folks like myself, to continue to inform our people and to take our vote, to take our power, to take our voice in our own hand. And I don't mean by donating to organizations like Black Lives Matter. And I don't mean like doing stuff like that, because I don't know if you saw that twerk on Washington stuff that they put out. Stuff like that.
I wanted to talk about that. I was going to show the video of that today, and didn't have time to. By the time we went on, I forgot to load it up in my system here. I have a serious problem with that. You got Black Lives Matter. See, this is the thing. I do believe that Black lives do matter, but I have a problem with the philosophy, the philosophical philosophy of the organization called Black Lives Matter and the people that are leading it. When you go to their website, you know this, brother, there's very little talk about black men, but they've made their bones off of the death of black men. Then you see where they talk about family structure, and it's all about alternative lifestyle. Matter of fact, I was going to do a video on this, but I said, no, I'm not going to do it because I knew I would be heavily censored.
Yes. You might get banned from YouTube for a week.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
they have this thing called a coloring book. Black Lives Matter came out with a coloring book. Tariq Nasheed was talking about it on his channel. And I had all the pictures and everything, and I was about ready to talk about it myself. And on the coloring book, it's a coloring book for children. And all the people that were on the coloring book were people who were living a alternative lifestyle. Now, I'm going to say it again for clarification, ladies and gentlemen. You can be with whoever you want to be, man, woman, that's your business.
Absolutely.
But when you start creating imagery of a lifestyle that's geared towards children, when I know from having experience of over 25 years working in mental health, 18 years working with brothers in the prison system who have struggled with mental health problems, that your brain doesn't fully develop until after 25 years of age or more in there. That's why people make a lot of bad decisions in their young years. And you still can as an adult too. So if you have a child and you're making a coloring book and you're saying things like two women being together is no okay. Okay, it may be okay if you are of an adult age to understand what it means.
Make that decision yourself. Yeah.
But a child does not still understand, and you actually create more confusion for a young child who's still trying to learn what this whole thing is called life. And they had a coloring book. I have a problem with that, only not because of their sexuality or anybody's sexuality, because you're gearing it towards children. That's a problem. Next thing you know, you'll be putting it in the schools. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Two.
And just to follow up on that you talked about, like the coloring book and stuff. They also on their website, and they got called out on this, and they had to remove it. Well, they didn't have to remove it, but they did remove it. They wanted to get rid of the nuclear family. And so for those who don't know what the nuclear family is, it's mom, dad, kid, kid or kids, and dog, right? Like they were
Tell
like
the truth.
to abolish the nuclear family, essentially wanting to erase the black man or the man from the family. And it's like, what the hell is that? Like, how are you going to teach children or want to teach your followers or whoever to
tell the truth?
Like, that makes absolutely no sense. And it took for Marcellus Wiley, who is a Fox Sports broadcaster,
yes,
to come out and was like, nah, dog, this ain't it. And they actually removed it from their website. But it was actually on their national website. They wanted to abolish the nuclear family, and that's just something I couldn't stand for. I've been turned off ever since.
Right. Let me acknowledge people that are watching in the Periscope. I'm broadcasting in 3 places today. Periscope. I'm broadcasting in the Facebook on my page to my channel on Facebook, and then of course it goes into Twitter. So I want to thank everybody who's in those spaces. If I have not acknowledged you, my apology. I know you're there. Thank you for being here. You're listening to the Information Man show, and we got my brother Jeffrey Lightsy. Let's let everybody know where they can find you on social media. Let people know about your channel, but let them know about some of the discussions that you do have on Boyce's channel. Let people know, brother. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. I'm at JLightsy7, at JLIGHTSY and the number 7 on all social media platforms. I also do a lot of my social commentary on the Black Boss channel. That's where you can find me pretty much all day, every day. I am on there consistently. I also have my personal YouTube, Jeff Lightsy Jr., that talks mainly sports. But the Black Boss channel is me and a few other black men where the conversation is controlled by black men. And these are not conversations that you're going to find on mainstream media. And what I mean by that is things like right here on the Information Man. Like these kind of logical conversations are not the black men that you see on TV are not going to have those kind of conversations. And that's what we try to do on the Black Boss channel, is have conversations with black men, conversations that are controlled by black men with no agenda in mind except the black agenda, except for B1, black first. That's the only thing on our mind, and it's the only thing that we care about is how can we make ourselves the black community, not the people of color community, not the Mexican community, not the Asian community. What can we do to make the black community better? And so we preach this, the tellings and the stories of Dr. Claude Anderson, whether that's Black Labor, White Wealth. I literally have the book right next to me, The Powernomics Agenda, which is the master plan to give black people the ultimate power, to make the playing field a lot more even. It's not social integration. It's not, hoping the white people accept me. It's not getting a job. It's not all of that kind of stuff. And so those are the things I rock with. Okay.
Brother 3000, I think he was asking the question, if I'm not mistaken, is that on YouTube?
Yes.
The boss channel, right?
Black Boss channel. It is on YouTube. You can find it. Go subscribe. And I'm on there pretty much every day, all day, either talking sports or talking black folks. And that's what we do.
Okay, let me say peace to Stacy Thompson. She says, at least it was transparent. Just because they took it down doesn't mean it's still not the agenda.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. There was something else I want to, because I don't want to take up all your time today, but there was something else I wanted to lay on you as a political. What do you think? And I think I was listening to you on Boyce's channel where there was one brother that said, well, maybe next year we can do A, B, and C. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. I'm tired of the narrative when things don't go when things go another way. I'm so sick and tired of the narrative that we as black people always are in positions where we got to say, let's try next year. We vote for the Democrats next year, and we vote for this person that year, and over again, and we come up with the same results. Yeah. There's a term in psychology, my brother, that says, what is that? When you keep doing the same thing over and over again, like a dog chasing its tail, that's close to being pure insanity, if I'm not mistaken, brother. What are your thoughts?
You're absolutely correct. The word insanity comes from doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? Like, so if I eat junk food or garbage, right, and I'm gaining weight slowly and steadily, and I'm like, dang, I want to lose some weight, but I keep eating junk and garbage, and I keep eating things and not exercising and not giving a dang about anything. Then and thinking that's what's going to help me lose weight is not it's obviously not taking place. And that is what's that's what's happened to our people in our community. We continue to think, oh, if I just get, Joe Biden in office or Kamala Harris in office, that's going to change things. Oh, not really. Oh, if I get Obama and Joe Biden in office, that's going to change things. Oh, not really. Oh, if I get Bill Clinton in office and Al Gore, that's going to change things. Oh, actually, that might have made things worse because they came up with this thing called the 94 crime bill. So, you literally have to really, and I think, and it sounds crazy, but I think this last election cycle, it took for people like your platform growing, and I know I keep referencing it, your platform growing, Dr. Claude Anderson being put on things like the Breakfast Club and
yes.
Dr. Boyce's platform growing and Tariq Nasheed's platform growing. And
everybody.
Like these independent black media, the media that you and Mr. Information Man, you won't get invited to CNN. You won't get invited to MSNBC, right? Like, because of the information that you're spewing is raising our consciousness. It's making us smarter, not dumber. And a lot of people that are on television, on national television, making us dumber. They're paid to make us dumber.
That's funny you would say that, because that was the reason why I got into YouTube in the first place. Now, my background, I got a good friend of mine I've known for over 10 years. If he's out there listening, that's Brother Lion's Den. We started off in internet radio. There were a few folks on internet radio that we became a fixture and giving our opinions on their program. Then we went into blog talk radio, a little bit of that. And then I came into YouTube. I was on YouTube since the very beginning, but I never had opened up a channel on YouTube. I was mostly a person that would listen to all the content creators, right? And I did this because I wanted to have a voice, one, and I didn't like the things that I was hearing on television because I knew it was pure bull crap. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so what I do over here on this channel is try to give a perspective that you're not going to get on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox Propaganda Channel, or all the rest of them, right? So I give a perspective. And what I've noticed, when you give a perspective, then you get things that happen to your channel. You get shadow banning. You get people not getting, like, for example, there's 76 people that are watching us right now. This is the game that YouTube plays. Check this out. This is the shadow ban game. I know when you're over in Boyce, you guys get 100, 200, 300, whatever amount of people. Check this out. I bet you any kind of money that when I end this stream today, it will probably show that there was about 500 people that were watching. But there's not 500 that shows up in the watch box. Mm-hmm. So someone was telling me that YouTube does that because they want to suppress the influence in the impact or the fact that people are watching what you're talking about and doing. YouTube wants to make it look like your channel is not as significant as it is. Wow. So you have to ask yourself, why is it that if I've got 71 people that's showing up in the watch box, and if I end this stream right now, let's say I've got 500 people, 600 or 700 people that shows up right then and there that watched the program or came by the program, then why wouldn't that 500 to 600 or 700 people, for example, why wouldn't it not show up in my box, in my watch box? Now, I want somebody in the chat room to answer that damn question right now.
I never knew you're dropping. That's why you the info man. You dropping some info on me. I had no idea. I had never heard that before. But it makes sense.
So what that tells me is that YouTube messes around with the algorithm, because I got people telling me, man, I'm not getting your notifications. I've been missing your program. What's going on? And the same thing happens when I go to their channels. See, so what I think's happening is that people who are talking about something that is relevant to our people, they've got to suppress that. And those who are talking nonsense, they give them all the bells and whistles.
Tell the truth.
The truth.
Okay. Let me ask you, brother, because I don't want to take up all your time because I know you're some hours away from me. How much more time you have? Because I can definitely always bring you back for another time as well.
Yeah, I can do another 20 minutes for sure.
Okay, good.
I can make it around hour and a half. I know it's about 106. I can do about around an hour and a half.
I'm going to pace myself here because I got a few more things that I want to ask you. That's what it was. So when we were talking about the Black Lives Matter and the whole, the woman that was twerking, I think someone who represents Black Lives Matter or one of the ladies were saying that the black woman's body is beautiful. Why are we being scared of it? Black women's sexuality should be celebrated and blah, 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 blah. And I'm saying to myself, look, the black woman's body is beautiful. We love black women. They are beautiful women. But this is the problem. When I grew up coming up in the 80s and everything like that, 90s, black women always said, hey, we're tired of these rappers using us as sex images. We're tired of the male rapper, sexualizing us. Mm-hmm. Now we're in the year 2021, and we're in a situation where you have black men who may speak out against this, and we're being criticized for telling black women that we don't want them twerking around like that. So it's like a culture shock. Wait a minute. Back in the day, you said to Two Live Crew and all those guys, hey, what are you doing to us? Don't call us a B word. And now that you decide you want to shake it up, and I get it. It's your body. It's your mind. You do what you want. But what I'm saying to you, when she was shaking it all around, she was shaking it to Dr. King. That's our brother, dear brother, Dr. King. He's a member of our organization too. That's a disrespect to Dr. King. Okay, Dr. King wasn't out there struggling so that we can shake our booties. I mean, it's a time and place for that, but I just thought it was in poor taste, and then Black Lives Matter tried to justify it.
Yeah, no, it was disgusting, to be honest. Let's just call it what it was. It was disgusting. What they tried to say was they didn't create the video. but they were just promoting it. And that is just as bad, right? Like
Well,
I don't care if you create like info man. If you put out something on your channel, people are going to assume you're backing it up, right? Like it don't matter if you created it, but you put it on your platform. And their platform, by the way, has millions of followers. We're not talking about 20, 30 people. We're talking about 2 or 3 million people that saw it from just their followers, and who knows how many times it was shared, because it was shared on my platform. You talked about it. We're talking about it now. Like it is something that's circulating the internet, and so people want to know why Black folks are looked at a certain way, or why Black women are the most over-sexualized people in the history of the world. And you got organizations that are supposed to be professional, buttoned-up organizations, supposed to be professional, buttoned-up organizations that represent Black people, putting out this mess. Is exactly why. Like that's exactly why. I want to touch on what you said. You said, why is it that Black men get pushed back on, just it's not just the twerking thing. Okay. Anytime an intelligent Black man like yourself, like whoever, speaks out against foolishness, you're gonna get pushed back. Because that is what we call white supremacy. That is white supremacy working at its finest. When you have, because the thing is, our community, no offense to the sisters out here. The sisters are doing their thing in the community. The sisters are what hold us down. We come from the womb of Black women. And so that means it's one of the most sacred things in the history of the world. But Black men are where the voice is at. Black men is where our power and our social construct comes from. It comes from we live in a matriarchy. It comes from the head of the household, the Black man. And so when you get brothers like yourself and myself and whoever talking, sounding eloquent, sounding smart, pushing back on foolishness, you got to shut it down, because you're going to get people talking too conscious. It's like that Black Messiah, right? We didn't hear of a Black Mary, right? Like we heard of a Black Messiah. It's like that awakening, that, oh my God, like they're getting another Black Messiah. Somebody is sounding too smart. Somebody is pushing back on our narrative. Somebody is going to convert these people and actually have them wake the hell up. And that's like, okay, we got to shut that down. And so what we're going to do, we're going to send Black folks out there to do it. We're going to call you a Trump supporter. We're going to say you're sexist, homophobic, the transphobic, otherphobic, whatever phobia you can think of. We're going to say you're all these things, anti-Semitic or whatever, and try to shut you the hell down because you're getting too big, because your message is spreading too far, because you're waking people up. People are becoming actually more intelligent listening to you, and that's not how white supremacy can reign supreme. The only way it can reign supreme is if you're still asleep, and so to wake folks up and to give them that knowledge that's doing too much. And so that's why you see the Black men, and not just with the twerking thing, but with anything. All right. That's why you see it get shut the hell down.
Let me say this. Let me say peace to Vade, Perspective, old heads in the house, Marcus Love, 3,000's in the house, Brother Doug, who's just super chatted me. Let me see. We got Jay Luck Blogs is in the house. Thank you for coming over, sister, and listening to what we got going on over here today. Lions Pride is in the house. DM is in the house. Everybody that's in the chat room, I want to thank you for being here today. I Am V is in the house. When it comes to all things bad, they always want Black people to be the front face of it. Yes, that's right. That's right. And then we got my man, let me see here. He says, respect family. Let me give real quick. Let me give my man Doug some super chat love here, and here we go real quick.
Tell them run it off. I wake up.
Thank you for the super chat.
I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it off.
All right. Let's get back to it. Let me just say this to you, brother Jeff. This is important, and I say this on panels that I've been on with brothers on YouTube. I'm sorry, and I don't, Black women, whether you take this the wrong way or not, I don't want you to, but I gotta tell the truth. That's what we're about over here. Tell the truth. Yeah. Black men have to set the damn barometer.
Absolutely.
If we set the barometer, the women have to fall in line. So if we say in the 21st century, we're tired of the tweaking, we don't need the twerking anymore. If you want to twerk, you do it in the bedroom with me as your husband or your man, your boyfriend. I don't need it. I don't want it right now, right? If we set the barometer of, because the bottom line is men determine who's getting married in the first place. Okay? We determine who's getting married in the first place. So I'm just keeping it real. We have to be the ones to set the barometer. And no matter what our women do that we don't like, we must stay steadfast to setting the standard, because the women that want to get married will be the women who fit our standard.
Absolutely.
And then those are the women who are getting married around here, and those who are not living up to the standard that we want. And let's be honest, I'm not being sexist here. Let's be honest. Black women have standards too that they've been holding us to. They want black men to be a certain way. So if they're going to have standards that they want from us, God damn it, we're going to have standards too.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. All
right, man. Oh God, where else can we go before we end this? Something else I wanted to, that's been going on in the news. Let me see something. There's something I want to bring up to you, to your attention, that's going on in the news. Let me see. Oh, this is what I want to bring up to your attention, brother, because I'm going to do a little podcast about this on my podcast radio program. The new documents that have come out that J. Edgar Hoover, which we already knew this, that J. Edgar Hoover was involved in Fred Hampton's murder in Chicago Chi-Town. And the dirty details have come out in the Power of the Information Act. And it is what we always knew, but it's always good when the truth comes out. Have you heard about this, brother?
I've not heard about that. I mean, Fred Hampton is like one of the people that I look up to, the Black Panther Party, and how that was infiltrated and taken down because they were speaking truth to power. They were black first, and they were helping our community. So I'm all on top of that myself, but I haven't heard about them actually releasing these documents. I for some reason I always thought it was always public knowledge anyway that they shot up Fred Hampton's apartment.
So if you go to the Black Agenda report, there's a whole breakdown. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put this in the chat room for everybody. I was gonna read this and do a little radio podcast about this, but I'm gonna put this in the chat room for everybody to check out on the Black Agenda report. And they're basically saying that it was a setup from start to finish with J. Edgar Hoover, and the police were a part of it. All the things that we always known, right? And this is the thing I have to ask. His relatives, the people that are still living today, if it's true that this is we know it's true, can't they sue for some money? Can't they hold them accountable? If this is true, that the city of Chicago and their policing, which has been corrupt over the years for decades, as well as the government, doesn't the family have a case that they can reopen against them?
Yes, we saw it with Martin Luther King, right? But it's not something that's going to be highly publicized. You want to know why? Because it admits that the United States government, once again, was corrupt, right? The same way that they don't put in the like they tell you about the crack epidemic, right? That happened in the 80s, but they don't tell how the crack got into those communities. They don't tell how black people can't go to Columbia. Black people don't have planes. Black people, it was literally brought
tell the truth
by the government. It was fed to the community. Like if you ever watch the show Snowfall, it breaks it down. Like it literally breaks it down with Snowfall, which was created by black men, break down how the government, the United States government, actually fed the crack to the black community, and that's how it got into our stuff. Like we've never been to Colombia, we've never met Pablo Escobar, we don't know one of these people, but that is how but just like that's not put in the textbooks or put in information or shown on television up until now.
Yes,
but the actual crack epidemic, all you see is the struggling black people crackheads. Is the same way you don't know that the government actually lost in a lawsuit to the Martin Luther King family. It is documented that Martin Luther King was killed by the United States government. I don't want to get your channel banned or anything. I ain't trying to get it censored, but these are facts. Like there was a whole book about who killed Martin Luther King that is on Amazon that you can purchase yourself and really find that out. They see court documents that
Right.
MLK was killed by the government. So that is the same way that they're doing this Fred Hampton thing, how it's not being publicized by major media. Fred Hampton's people will probably get paid or will probably win in court or something like that, but it's something that we'll never hear about on the mainstream level.
Okay. Mr. Parrot Brain, what's up to you, brother? Thank you for being here. If I'm saying your name right, Pirate Brain says that the black woman twerking on Washington was from the Bahamas. She was not ADOS. Okay. Let me just say this. Whether they're ADOS, what have you, I still don't want to see such disrespect. But I get where you're coming from. We don't want to see disrespect because we've got our people that were born and raised here that do silly things as well. I'm not saying there ain't nothing wrong. I'm not saying that you can't dance and have a good time. I just didn't think it was appropriate, given that they put Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our brother, his voice over the overlay of that. Did not appreciate it whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
and just to chime in on that, yes, she's not ADOS, but people just watching don't know that, right? Like people that saw the video, they just see a black woman and they just see there go those niggas acting silly again, right? Like even on their day, on MLK Day, with the voice of Martin Luther King playing, being sampled in the song on the Capitol with people around, children around, all these folks looking at her go crazy. That's all anybody sees.
Right. Let me say this to you real quick, brother. Now, what I'm going to say is not going to be popular, but there have been people out there that have talked about this, have given their opinion. We know through history that they have always used people to look like us to destroy us.
Absolutely.
So when you look at what happened to, let's say, Malcolm X, they're saying that, there's been speculation or allegations that there was a mosque in New Jersey. And that there was someone that was a part of that mosque that used a sawed-off shotgun to do the deed.
Yes.
To shut his mouth up. Now, that's been put out there. We've seen documentaries. There was a brother that did a documentary on Netflix. Yes. Of course, there's people disputing it and what have you. But we know that there were people who looked like us who did it, who were in cahoots with the FBI, the government, because there were police that were letting things happen that day, just like the police up there in the Capitol allowed those folks to do what they did too. Okay. So we have to keep that in mind. Protel. I'm not saying it right. Say it for me. Yeah. I'm having a lip thing here. Okay. We know that they use people to destroy us. Now, when I look at Dr. King, this is going to be, some people will say it's sacrilegious what I'm saying, but I got to say this. This is truth.
Tell the truth.
I've always said to myself as a young man growing up, why did they let Dr. King go out there on that balcony of that motel when they knew that was a city that he was in before, which I'm not mistaken, he got stabbed by somebody. I think a woman stabbed him. It was a city that didn't want him there. Matter of fact, if you go back and look at the history, my brother, our dear frat brother, you know what happened? He wasn't supposed to stay at that hotel. There was another hotel he was supposed to stay at. Somehow he got rerouted to that hotel. So my question I've always asked is, why did they let him go out there on the balcony like that? 2, if you notice the people that were in Dr. King's inner circle, here go my conspiracy theory, but my theory, why is it that everybody that was in his circle, they didn't end up being 6 feet under?
Still alive.
But Dr. King was 6 feet under. He's no longer with us. All due respect to our frat brother. Okay? But people like, here I go. I'm going to be ruffling some feathers. He's a frat brother too, but I got to keep it real. Andrew Young made out pretty well for himself. He became the mayor of Atlanta. He got involved with the Coca-Cola, became a member of Coca-Cola's board. Check this out, brother. You know that Dr. King was planning to do a boycott against corporations in the Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Boycott. Yes, the Coke boycott. Yes, absolutely.
Right. So then my question is, Andrew Young knew that he was going to do that, but somehow he got on that board and made out pretty good financially for himself. Okay, Jesse Jackson. He lied and said that he was the first person there to hold Dr. King in his arms. I'm giving it to y'all today, folks, that he had the bloody shirt. Come to find out that Jesse Jackson, he lied because he looked up to King and he wanted to be the next to lead the movement. So he lied. And guess what? And Messy Jesse made out pretty good. All of his kids went to private school. Ask yourself to this day, Brother Jeff, what church did he pastor at? Did Jesse Jackson ever have a church where he has to take in tithing? Have you ever heard Jesse Jackson get on TV and say, can y'all give us donations? We need donations for the church that I'm running. Where did he get all of his money? I know now he had the Push Coalition.
Push Coalition, yeah.
But where was he generating the kind of money that's necessary to put kids through private school, to live a good life and wear those Brooks Brothers suits he wore? Huh? Now, okay, I'll give him this. Yes, he did go around and talk at schools and he got paid very well for talking. He came to my university and spoke. I saw him live. And okay, he get paid. I get it. I get that. But this is another conspiracy theory. There are people out there that say that when it happened, that Jesse got flown out, they got him out of town pretty quick. What I'm trying to say to you, here's my conspiracy theory, is that I personally believe that there were people within Dr. King's inner circle who turned on him. Absolutely. Who sold him out. I'll give you a perfect example. Remember Ralph Abernathy?
Yes.
Remember before he died, he came out with a book talking about Dr. King like a dog, talking about, yeah, he liked the women like, he was talking about his personal life. Okay, Dr. King wasn't a perfect man. All men fall short. Some of us have appetites for women, drugs, alcohol, things that we shouldn't be doing. Yes, but we also know that the FBI personally created lies to create tension in the household between him and Loretta Scott King. So there could be bullshit in that. But we do know that Ralph Abernathy came out with a book to try to throw Dr. King under the bus. Guess what? He was one of the ones in that inner circle who survived, never got taken out. I'm going to stop right there because I know I'm probably bothering a few people. I'm triggering some folks out there listening. But what is your thoughts? Because that's a theory that a lot of people are saying, you know what? There could be some truth to that.
You're hitting a nail right on the head, Info Man, because here's the thing. The reason why those men were able to live these long, luxurious lifestyles that you've so affluently pointed out is because they were never a threat. They were never a threat to white supremacy. Why is that? No, Jesse Jackson ran for president, and all of these people were the first blacks, so-and-so, whatever. They weren't calling
Tell the
reparations to the card.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't calling for economic in the black community to the table. They were asking for symbolism. They were asking to be the first black so-and-so to get a so-and-so job. They were asking to be the first black whatever. They were pushing for more jobs in their communities and not money in their community for more businesses. They were pushing for those type of things. That's why they were never touched. Think about the people during that time that was touched or that was forced to leave the country, whether it was Kwame Ture, a.k.a. Stokely Carmichael, whether it was Eldridge Cleaver in the entire Black Panther Party. Fred Hampton was killed. MLK was killed. Malcolm was killed. These people were killed, but people like Elijah Muhammad, no offense to the NOI, but people like those were left alone because they weren't bothering white supremacy. They weren't fighting against white supremacy. MLK for a long time, that's why he lived past Malcolm, was complacent. And then he finally woke up and realized, oh my God, I have been leading my people into a burning building. That's not something I made up. That's something he said. And what he meant by that is that he was fighting for all of this social integration, and he was fighting for holding hands with little white boys and little black girls and holding hands. But by 1968, by 1967, he wanted his check. He wanted our people to have their check. He was, like you said, talking about the Coca-Cola boycott. That is ruffling feathers. Now you're doing too much. Now we got to get rid of you. Now you're becoming that black messiah that we are scared of. Now we're talking about that black messiah that can ultimately overthrow white supremacy, right? The oppressor is never going to allow the oppressed overtake them, not willingly. And so what do? We take out your most vocal, most known leader. There was a reason why Martin Luther King was pushed the way he was pushed. Martin Luther King didn't get that big and that well known and that well respected by accident. You think white media would allow him to come on TV and to garner the following that he garnered if he was fighting against white supremacy from the jump? Absolutely not. Hell no. They would have shut him down way before then. But by 67 and 68, when his name just got bigger and bigger and the tide started to turn and he started to realize, we don't need to have social integration. We need economics in our community. We're adapting the powernomics thought process, essentially. Is essentially what he was doing. And that is when he got shut down. Fred Hampton was doing the exact same thing on a smaller level in Chicago through the Black Panther Party in Chicago. And like you said, we know how corrupt that is. We got to shut that down. Kwame Ture was doing, or aka Stokely Carmichael was doing the exact same thing. And they forced him to leave the damn country. You know what I'm saying? And James Baldwin was forced out of the country, essentially was forced out of the country. Like these people were bringing social consciousness to our community in the 60s, the same issues we're having now in the 60s, and they had to get rid of it.
Let me this is going to be the last topic for the show today before I bring you back, because we got more to talk about, brother. This is going to be about Stokely Carmichael, the brother that you mentioned. Remember, let's not sleep on this. Remember, oatmeal box looking Bill Clinton. When John Lewis had his funeral, he got up there and said, because John Lewis was seen as more passive,
yes,
in comparison to Stokely Carmichael.
John Lewis was MLK pre-67. So John Lewis was in that civil rights movement. John Lewis was politically correct. John Lewis was, rest in peace, John Lewis. He's a great man, but John Lewis was somebody that white people could tolerate. He never crossed the line.
Let me say peace to Tiffany Jackson for coming in Fashion for Life. Thank you, sisters, for being here. Let me say this. Remember when Bill Clinton sat up there and he threw, and we got Ebony Eyes in the house. Good to see you here, sister. Remember when Bill Clinton, who signed that crime bill,
absolutely,
for Joe Jim Crow Biden, I gotta keep it real, tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
He sat up there and said, the movement was going in a different direction with that other guy, that Stokely Carmichael guy. But John Lewis put it all back into track. Did you see, what was your opinion as our last statement today of how he sort of talked bad on brother Stokely Carmichael, who is the one who coined the phrase, if I'm not mistaken, Black Power?
Black Power, absolutely. So
tell the truth.
I can tell you all you need to know about not just Bill Clinton, but the social construct of America, right? Stokely Carmichael, who was speaking truth to power, who was uplifting our people, who was uplifting our community, was getting bashed at another man's funeral who helped keep us in the same place, right? You want to know why? No offense to John Lewis. He was a good man, and he did a lot of good things in his life. But you want to know why there's people like John Lewis in pre-67 Martin Luther King, because they don't talk about Martin Luther King in the cut the check version, right? Like they don't speak about it. It's almost like that never existed. But they talk about him pre-67, pre-68, because that is the acceptable version of Martin Luther King. That's our friend Martin. That's the one who's getting bashed in the damn head, trying to, just so he can get a burger that a white man spit in, right? Like that's the version that gets pushed and publicized and all of that stuff, right? Like our people, that social integration that want to get the hell beat out of them just to eat at a white man's, just to give the white man your money. Think about, before I'm getting off track, but I just think about
keep what you're saying.
I was alive in 1965, right? But just imagine this, and it's fun. It's almost kind of funny to look back on it now. But in the 1960s, there were literally black people who were getting the hell beat out of them just so they could give a white restaurant owner their money so they could spit in their burger, beat the hell out of them, and you're fighting to give them your money. Like what like how backwards is that? I think about how backwards that is. I'm getting the hell beat out of me because you don't want to take my money. I'm fighting for a seat at your table. Like, no. How about I just go and I got that money, go make my own damn table, right? I can settle that. Like that is what happened. And also in things like Dr. Carl Anderson has talked about how the bus boycotts, and this is why Martin Luther King was propped up, because originally, because the bus boycotts that took place in Alabama after the Rosa Parks and all that stuff, actually, when they finally allowed Black people to integrate, it destroyed the Black economic system that Blacks owned buses themselves. Right.
Mm-hmm. So yes, there was a Black-owned bus company. You're right about that, brother.
Exactly. So when and there was several Black-owned bus companies throughout the South, and so when the Black bus boycott took place, they always show you the Black folks walking. No, they were taking the Black buses, right? So they were taking the Black buses, and then when the white buses was like, okay, we'll let Black folks sit in the front. What happened to those Black buses? They went away. You destroyed your own community. You literally destroyed your own community. Those finances, those resources that was going into the Black community are now gone because those Black buses are now bankrupt. But anyway, so back to your original point, the Stokely Carmichael thing. It just shows you the social construct of America. It shows you how backwards we literally allowed what a lot of people. I've seen LeBron James, my favorite athlete, say Bill Clinton was the first Black president. He's the same Bill Clinton that signed the crime bill, still gets praised, and still can go at John Lewis's funeral and talk bad about Kwame Ture, aka Stokely Carmichael, someone who was preaching Black excellence and Black consciousness in economics back in the 60s. He can bash him and nobody bats an eye, but people like John Lewis get all the praise and the glory and adulation. That is just totally backwards to me.
It is totally backwards. Well, brother, let me say this to you. I really appreciate you being here today, joining me. It's been a fantastic discussion. You've been nothing but been fantastic. We're going to have to get you back on here so we can talk about more issues as they come down the line. We're going to have to put our foot on Biden as Black people to keep him and Kamala Harris, to keep them honest about what they need to do for Black people. However, I'm going to be honest with you. If you are a person who has some critical thinking skills, we should not be surprised by his first few days of executive orders. We still need to put pressure on his administration. Now, I think what Joe Biden is doing is that he figures if he gives us Black people in certain key positions of his administration, because you had symbolism. Yeah, you had Clyburn, who did all that buck dancing for him down in South Carolina. Matter of fact, he wouldn't be where he is if it was not for Black folks in the South. Let's see, Black people that voted in Milwaukee, Georgia, Atlanta, Philadelphia. He wouldn't be where he is. Trump would be in the White House right now talking about "Make America."
Absolutely.
Let me
get me started on Clyburn. That goes back to the pushing the wrong agenda. Clyburn, instead of asking for, it's like the word reparations is banned from politics, right? Like the word reparations, it's like it don't exist. So instead of asking for something like reparations or funds to be directed toward the Black community, Clyburn's asking for "Lift Every Voice" to be the damn symbolism song.
Right.
We will make America great again.
That's what we would, yeah.
He's asking for some garbage like that. It's like, man, I don't care what the "Lift Every Voice" can be. I need some funds. Where's the money? Where's the money going? Like, that's what this country is ran on. It's ran on money. It ain't ran on no damn "Lift Every Voice" being the national anthem or whatever he was asking for it to be.
I interviewed a brother by the name of Brother Jamie. He's the brother that was on video going all around the country, coming up to different politicians saying, "What are your thoughts on reparations?" And boy, they were trying to get away from that brother like he was the plague. And he went up to Clyburn, I kid you not, and he said, "Mr. Congressman Clyburn, what are your thoughts about reparations?" He was like, "If you think you're going to get reparations, you'll be waiting forever." He said, "It ain't going to happen." And then I think he touched the brother's camera and he said to Clyburn, "Why are you touching me, brother? Don't be touching me like that." And then Clyburn walked off and walked away, and his brother was criticized by the people that were there. So And then and then Clyburn later on criticized Joe Biden saying, hey, I'm not happy with your appointment so far. So I think what's going to happen is that he'll have black people in positions, and maybe in his mind, he thinks that, okay, I did something for black folks. Right now, check this out. And I had respect for Eric Dyson.
Yeah.
Dr. Dyson. Michael Eric Dyson. And I lost a little respect for him because he was on CNN with, I think, Don Lemonhead, as I call him. Okay, that's what I call him because, you know. And he said that having the brother. Now, who's the brother? He's a member of our organization, too. He's going to be in charge of the military. He's a Secretary of Defense.
I can't think of his name, but I know.
And I had his name on my head, and I just lost it.
Yeah, they appointed him late. Yeah, I remember.
He's the first appointment, I think, of Joe Biden's administration as far as his, cabinet.
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, brother's in charge of the military. He's in charge of the nukes and everything, and he can say, "Go get him." Okay, right? But before we sit up here and laugh about it, doesn't change the fact that the program called Africon is all over Africa, doing all kind of dastardly type things to the continent of Africa, showing that, putting up a front as if they're there for, oh, we're there to help the people. No, they're there so that America can continue to have control over the continent in one way or a fashion. But, okay. Michael Eric Dyson said that he thought that was Joe Biden paying it forward for black people. He said that it was fantastic. It was beautiful. It was everything. Okay. It was everything that would make you laugh. I mean, everything that'll make you laugh. It was wonderful. And I sat up here and I said, no, that's not paying it forward. That's a black person who has a position of influence that will benefit them, and they will be a benefit to the military in this particular case. He will benefit the military and he'll bring a black perspective. That's great. But that isn't tangibles for the average black man and woman on Main Street. That's all I wanted to say. So yeah. I thank you for being here, brother. Any last words you want to shout out to anybody out there? I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Mr. Information Man, for everything. Like you said, I'm on the Black Boss channel, YouTube, and thank you guys for tuning in today. Just to anybody, like I said, the biggest thing that we can do outside of just politics is work on ourselves. Come up with a plan for yourself. Come up with a plan for your family. Come with a plan to create a business. Come up with a plan for a stem of resources. That way you don't have to end up, have a white man just give you a job or have someone just happy to have you a part of their employee. And so I say adapt the Powernomics plan, and that will change your life. And that's all I have to say. But thank you, Mr. Info Man, for bringing me on today.
Oh, thanks a lot. Let me give you a clap for being here because you've been fantastic, brother. All right. Until we do it again, brother, we'll be in contact, and take care. Keep moving onward and upward towards the light, brother.
Absolutely.
And hold it up high. And thank you once again for being here, brother. So take care of yourself. And once again, everybody, that was Brother Jeffrey. Check him out on Boss TV, right?
Yeah, the Black Boss channel. Yes, sir.
Black Boss channel.
Yes.
And let everybody know again about your sports channel.
Yes, it's Jeff Lightsy Jr. Or you can just go on the Black Boss channel. You're gonna find me on there pretty much every single day. I have a weekday sports podcast, the Victory Formation Show. And you can check me out there every morning, 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. And I talk sports, everything that's happening in the world of sports. And Black Boss channel, you'll see all kinds of stuff about politics and just being black first. Okay. Well, take care, brother. I'm glad you were here, and we'll be good. We'll get back at this again sometime soon. Take care, brother. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right. That's my brother there who's just leaving the show. Let me say peace to Brother Kendrick, Lions Pride, Ebony Eyes, Marcus Love, 3000's in the house. Let me see. Back to the basics. Some chick named Star. And we got Kendall Cutter. We got Biao is in the house. I can't make out some of these names. We got Warren
is in the house, but let me put your name up, at least on the screen there, saying absolutely. Thank you for being here. Peggy Roster. We got my man, the old head Deuce, who I see over in Brother Kitty's channel a lot. And we got Tiffany Jackson, who says, one does not get on CNN on a regular as a black person if not speaking on items that keep white people, liberals, feeling comfortable and to keep them thinking they are doing something. I would have to agree with you.
Tell the truth.
On that. And we got my sister here, Web Savvy Cafe. Thank you for coming over. I appreciate you for being here. Brittany Dunn was in the house today. I want to say peace to her if I forgot to say peace to her. We got yours truly, PL, who says, DM, go get Trump. Nobody is stopping you. You had him for the last 4 years, is what the brother just said. And let me just say this, everybody. If you have not already, do me a big favor and subscribe to this channel. If you just stumbled upon my channel today, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I would appreciate that. Another thing I want you to do is go over to my second channel. There it is on the screen. The Information Man Speaks podcast. That's my second channel. You can scroll down on the first channel and you'll see my second channel on my first channel page, and you can subscribe to the channel right away. I've got good commentary over there, trying to work on some things over there to try to improve what I'm doing over there. But check it out. Subscribe to it. Any of you out there today that are listening to me on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, do me the favor when you get a chance and go over to YouTube and also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. I would appreciate that. I want to give everybody in the chat room that's been rocking with me a clap. I want to let you know that all of you out there are very, very important people. You're down to earth. You're real. You come over here. You give me a lot of love. You motivate me to come on here and talk about these issues, bring on guests, which I'll be bringing on more guests. Definitely, they're coming. I got more guests coming. I got more good things coming down the pipeline for you. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time. Now, do me something very important. Do something very important for me, because this is how you grow channels. And I'd like you to go ahead and share this video. Share the video in your social media, such as your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, if you can, or at least share, whatever you can. If you are a content creator or you're a person on YouTube, put it in your community tab so that more people can discover the channel, because this is how the channel grows. And this is how we bring more people over here to this family and keep doing what we're doing. So I appreciate all of you out there. If you could do that, that would be appreciated. I'm going to get off of here. I'll see you all around the YouTube streets. I'm ending pretty early now. That means that people have plenty of time to go check out their other favorite YouTubers. Thank you, everybody in the chat room, everyone listening in Periscope and Twitter, and people that are listening on the Facebook, my Facebook page related to my YouTube channel. So I want to thank you all for being here and being a part of what we did today. Thank you, and take care of yourself. Let me see what people are saying in the chat room real quick before I actually depart. And let me see what people, well, wait a minute. I'm looking at this computer when I can just put your messages on the board. What am I thinking about? Let's see. You keep bringing it. Excellent content. Thank you so much, Information Man. Thank you, Tiffany Jackson. I appreciate it. We got Mahogany in the house. She says, peace to everyone. Mahogany, I know you've invited me on your channel a few times, sister. Every time I check the message that you leave me, I always get to them too late. And then by the time I get to them, you either did it already or you hadn't done it yet. But I'll be more than happy to come over to your channel and be a part of whatever you got going on over there. And especially if it leads to a solution. Now, let me say this too. You don't see me on panels a lot lately, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason why you don't is because I don't like being on panels. It's just my personal pet peeve right now, where there is no solution. I don't want to be on panels where it's just a bunch of arguing back and forth with people, but no solution. Now, every now and then you may see me on a panel where there's a little bit of back and forth. Yes, that happens. Can't control that. But I really want to be on panels with people who are looking towards what are the solutions? What can we give our people that will better our lives, other than just getting on a panel and arguing back and forth? And then when I get on these panels and ask people, okay, what are you doing? What is your solution? Are you involved in an organization? Are you supporting an organization that's doing the work that you don't want to do? And it gets as quiet as a rat pissing on cotton. Now, when you're on panels with people like that, oh, that tells you right there, they ain't in the best interest of what our people are about. No, they're not. They're just on here to entertain. That's just my attitude. So there's people that I enjoy going on their panels and talking about issues with. I love it. And sometimes I can get turned up on panels, especially when there's some fool on the panel saying a bunch of nonsense. Then I get turned up on them. But that happens every now and then. We're all human. We're all people. And it's just what it is. So enjoy the rest of your YouTubing day, your Black YouTube world, wherever YouTubing that you enjoy. Let's get on out of here, folks. And once again, I appreciate you all for being here. Let me put on a nice tune here. What was the tune that I wanted to put on? Wait a minute, where's that tune? And right now, while I get that tune, I'm going to put this tune on while I get the other tune fired up. And here we go. Here we go. Peace, everybody. Take care.
Hey, girl. Mom, what's up? I got some tea. What? Yeah.
I just called you up to let you know your man been messing around.
What?
He been messing around.
For real?
I guess he didn't know.
Earl Owens, thank you for being here. J Luck Blogs, thank you for being here. DM, thank you for being here. IMV, thank you for being here. DM. Mahogany, thank you for being here. Marcus Love, everybody, peace to you.
Fuck up his life. All we need is your phone and some time. Boy, you don't know that we know about you, baby.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Baby, we got receipts. Girl, thanks for putting me up on game. I had a feeling he was up to no good. Anyways, we about to play with his head. He don't know who he dealing with. Send me your text thread. I know. Matter of fact, where he gon' be at? We should pull up on him around 9. And when I see him, you know it's on side. Yeah, he gon' pay for wasting our time. Yeah. We cut you in a lie. So we gon' fuck up your life.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming over, J Luck Vlogs. Brother Doug, thank you for coming over, brother, again. Brother Kendrick, I thank you for coming over again, brother. We got Shade Rock, thank you for coming over. Sister 12 Veils, you're going to have to watch the repeat, sister, but thank you for coming over. I appreciate that. Mahogany, thank you for coming over again, sister. Thank you.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
I had a feeling, but I don't know. He had a nerve to slide in the DM.
Tell the truth.
We got something for you. thought he could play us? Right. Oh yeah, I got some.
Information is power. Information is power. Information is power. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Information is power.
When I'm flying, the descent is still my favorite part. Easy to end and hard for me to start. You don't wanna feel that part of me that's cold and numb with apathy. Cause when I feel that way, I can't help nobody. Nobody, I can't trust nobody. Nobody, I can't trust nobody.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Needed you to be mindful. Stretch out my hand.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Reach out to you, but I'm young and still prideful. Needed you to be mindful of me. Needed you to be mindful. Where the fuck does your mind go? Where the fuck did the time go? Small talk.
Information is power.
Get out my face. Needed you to be mindful.
Tell the truth.